as it does across the ankle.
That's right. As we were saying earlier this morning, a part of the conversation certainly needs to be education. So no surprise, we are joined by lecturer and head of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at the UWI in St. Augustine, the campus at St. Augustine, that is, Dr. Suan Barrett this morning, as they're going to tell us about some of the upcoming events and also about finding a new home. Good morning, welcome to the Now, and happy International Women's Day in advance.
Good morning, and same to you as well. Thank you for having us.
A necessary part of the conversation, because there is a specificity to that theme of accelerate action. We're looking at accelerating action for women and girls, all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. It immediately tells us, it's three umbrellas, if you will, that you guys will be focusing on. So tell me more.
Sure, of course. Well, as we promote this theme for 2025. As you see, IWD is an annual commemoration, recognition of the value of women in a system where women are often not seen as valued except for their relational function, who they are married to, who they're a daughter of, who they're assistant to, but to recognize them as humans by right of being human. And so some of the things that the last speaker would have spoken about that plague women are rooted in that presumption about how women operate in our society. So when we recognize rights, we recognize equality, we recognize justice, we're then saying in this moment, we need to hold each other's hands as a community. We need to be active bystanders. We need to be invested, whoever we may be, whether we are women, not identifying as women, men or other, to then say, all of us share a commitment toward equity, justice, and states of peace. We operate in states of unpeace with extreme violence, and these kinds of interventions, whether it's around climate action, gender-based violence, workplace equality and equity, safety in the homes, food security, health and well-being, sexual rights, bodily autonomy, etc., allow us then to reach closer to that space of cohesion for all, no matter what their sex identifying, characteristic, but for their roles in society, for how we appreciate the value of women and girls, men and boys, and all in between and beyond. So we want to accelerate it because we've been speaking to it for a long time.
Right.
But we are not necessarily as quick to really disrupt the mechanisms and systems and structures that stop us from getting to our shared goal.
I truly appreciate that the clarity you've given to us this morning on what that actually means is perfection. We really do have to disrupt the status quo, as they would say. And so the ways in which we've heard other entities doing it are vast. There's a lot to be done. What is the plan in terms of how we, in terms of IDG, and of course the persons who want to participate, will be looking forward to?
Sure. Of course, every time we commemorate, you have something for visibility and public education, you have something for capacity building, and then you have something for active participation. We're very happy, our last speaker from the Office of the Prime Minister, who, of course, we're stakeholders, friends, collaborators, would have mentioned the march tomorrow, led by the network of NGOs, long-standing in this. We are happy to join them at Woodford Square, down Frederick Street, across Independence Square, up Abercrombie, across Park, and back down Frederick to the park, just so that you know it's not a too long walk.
Yeah, we can do that.
In the morning, yes. I mean, we just did carnival, so you're warmed up.
Like you're thinking. Okay.
But we want people to bring their messages around these things, what they will commit to accelerated action. And you'll allow me to turn to my notes because, we want to encourage people to really take it seriously. So you might want generally gender equality and justice. You're committed to this. You have a general understanding. But you can also pick up on issues of bodily autonomy. I was listening to your conversation earlier around carnival and the wine, and which has been a long-standing conversation around consent, not only in the public space, but in the private space, in relationships. Intimate partner violence usually features. Then, of course, we have rights. What do I have a right to? Do I have a right to make my own decisions? Do I have a right to act? Do I have that autonomy? Then we are dealing with issues of femicide and GBV in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago being a part. We have norms that perpetuate this. And then we deal with climate action. And we want climate action that accounts for energy justice, water justice, food justice, and health, right? And so we want to encourage people to bring their resources for health, peace, and security for women and girls in particular, but extending to our relations with everyone else. Right. So that is tomorrow. Come, bring a message and come, put on your comfortable shoes. Also being launched tomorrow is the Respect Her campaign, which is through Guardian Media. And this will start tomorrow, but continue and culminate on April 14th. And they are really examining the music that is played at sporting events and how these can bring respect to participants, whether they are sportswomen or spectators. So they're going to be in malls on March 15th, March 22nd, and we are collaborating to just kind of promote this kind of evaluation of music and song, examine how we can come up with new compositions, how we can speak the language of justice. Because sometimes I remember we had a conversation about soca music, and how do you embed something like consent? Because we do have, hypersexuality and hedonism, but even in then, you can make consent sexy. Right, which is great because we want to be we want to engage sexually. Then in terms of on campus, again, lending that voice, we expect to have a spoken word event with the Canadian High Commission, which will take place on the 27th of March on campus. We hope to feature some spoken word artists who are well established, but we really want to feature students forming their artistry, which rests within our culture, to talk about these issues, accelerate action, we speak it into being. Of course, we're an educational institute, so you've got to use your words to have power. And then, as part of that, the IGDS has been in the university for over 30 years, and we've been on campus with our friends at Science and Technology, and they've accommodated us for a long time. But now we have a new home. It is on 59 Gordon Street, St. Augustine, and we have our own building, our own space. You could come visit sometime, and in that space, we can enhance our capacity and thus accelerate action. So we're in the process of moving right now. Moving is a real long process of packing and unpacking and shifting an entire office that continues to work. But from that space, we hope all of these themes that I've mentioned, we're able to then see into the future and map for the next generations how we can then turn the tide on the states of on peace and injustice that affect our cohesiveness in Tobago and the Caribbean.
A tall order, especially when making that move, but definitely multiple moving parts that persons can get in on. Now, in terms of picking dates and checking events, is there like a website or a page we could go to? Because that is a lot to follow through with.
It is indeed. Well, of course, Accelerate Action is already on multiple platforms, our own, IGDS, the Office of the Prime Minister, the network of NGOs. So that's tomorrow, March 8th. And you can check the IGDS's website, igds.st.ue, and you will see details eventually for the March 27th event. It will be up soon, let's say later next week, and you can come to campus and participate. It's not just isolated for students. And during that event, our undergraduate advocacy group IGDS Ignites would also be engaging in their advocacy, their student advocacy. They're coming to town and they're going to write in chalk messages to confront sexual harassment, street harassment, gender-based violence. So that will be broadcast on our websites and all of our platforms. And then in terms of the Guardian Media, that too will be shared. It's in the planning process, starting from tomorrow and extending into April. So visit our website and look out for the announcements across Instagram, Facebook, and all the other platforms, which are now slipping my mind early in the morning.
That's fine, that's fine. Because they call the main ones, and I think beyond the platforms themselves, people can actually engage, especially since you have your new space coming up.
Of course.
So that we can make sure that we are a part of the conversation and taking action. Now, I know that you have thoroughly thought through most of these items, and even in the beginning of our conversation, you talked about the joint efforts of both men, women, and persons who identify as other. Let's get a little bit more specific into that conversation, because as we were saying this morning, we tend to do the focus on the women and the focus on the girls. But then in terms of the conversation towards men, it needs to be different. Their experience is different, their understanding is different. Will we see events, activities, themes that will actually target or specifically speak to men during or as part of these observances?
I'll say something to you. It's very hard, and this is global, to get men to participate in events around gender. You may have what we call the choir. You have people who are already committed and they will attend, they will lend their voice, they will be in support, they would advocate for gender justice. But globally, for example, for International Men's Day, I joined Men Engage International around how do we get men to be involved? And we discussed that we would want to point at things you value. You value your family, you value your income, you value your home, you value these things. To see it as something that does not either make you a victim or does not point you out as the bad guy in the storyline. So it's difficult to have men just isolated around these issues because they're so rooted for a long time in experiencing inequality. Of course, all of our activities over the years are able to incorporate men into, because I would suggest, I don't believe that you have separate conversations. You have men and boys and women and girls. I think we have to speak with each other to understand each other's perspectives. I remember having a conversation with someone about, you know, participating in carnival. I'm a carnival baby, playing mass every single year since I'm a little child. And how you have to navigate your bodily autonomy and safety, and you are constantly hypervigilant. And my guy friend was like, really? Does that happen? And I'm like, it's been happening every single, it's just a norm. It's almost like white noise.
That's how we function.
And so when you say it out loud, it might seem, oh, why are you saying that? I don't go out there to attack anybody, I just want to sit up on a bumsy. But truthfully, it can escalate. So if we can speak together, so we don't have a particular event that says, oh guys, come on over. What we really would like, for example, on the on-campus event, that both our male and female artists, talents, come and join and share their perspective in that conversation so that it's okay to speak. It's okay to be a part of this woman thing, which it really isn't not. We also do not want to marginalize members who are non-gender conforming because we feel like that is a point where inequality emerges and threatens one's identity. So always men and masculinity, women and femininity, and all in between and beyond must be coming together to collaboratively in community accelerate action.
We can only go far together.
Yes.
I love the message. I love the ways that they are being approached. And I look forward to checking in with you, not just when the move is complete, but as these events continue to take place, because it is a long calendar of events as well. Best of luck while simultaneously moving. Dr. Bharat, we always love having you on set, and we will make sure that people continue to connect. So remind them again of the platforms and the website that we can check out.
Yes. So you come to IGDS at sta.ue. That's our website. You could look up UE. You will find us very easily. You come to our Instagram page. We'll have all of the posters and pictures that will be unfolding over the next few weeks. Facebook, of course, is quite popular. I know some of the young people don't do Facebook that much anymore, but Facebook is still quite informative. And, of course, you know, call us anytime, right? Visit us. And we would love to see you at our new home.
Now, in terms of that new address, it is going to be?
59 Gordon Street, St. Augustine. So it's just opposite St. Augustine Secondary School, next to the Seismic Research Center.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, informing us of all the happenings, and of course for lending your voice, your knowledge, and your insight to the plight towards accelerated action. That is Dr. Sue-Ann Bharat joining us this morning, the lecturer and head at the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at UE, the St. Augustine campus, making sure that the conversations continue even after these messages as we accelerate action towards a better Trinbago. Then I'll make sure it turns after these messages. We'll be back.